tell us about your background in banking and payments. How did you come to work in this space?
Well, I started out as an engineer, but it was in chemical engineering. But I love to solve problems, and I also love innovation. And what you see is that the whole payments environment is exploding in innovation, whether it's, Alipay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay, Apple Pay, wallets, and it's going beyond what used to be very simple. Well, not simple, it was always technologically difficult in terms of security, but it's expanding into a whole experience, bringing what used to be like the railway tracks into the real estate business, all of the business around the railway tracks, and I think that connection is really fascinating. So when I started in payments, about 25 years ago, 27 years ago, it was all about, protocols. It was only about security. It was like running the railway. Very, very complicated. Very important that it was secure. But there wasn't a lot of discussion about how the end customer would experience the service. It was the last piece of a long chain. You did all these things and then you paid. And what we're finding today is that it's much more about the whole consumer experience. And that is why I kind of got into it. I actually started at Procter & Gamble in marketing. And when you're in marketing, you think about the consumer. And when I looked at payments, it was bringing technology and kind of marketing together.
Oh, great. It is very fascinating to think about how it's changed so much over time. What is Verifone's overall philosophy on payments and how they should work for consumers and retailers?
Well, I think our philosophy is really that we are an enablement platform. We're really trying to make it possible for consumers to have a fabulous experience and for retailers to do their business easier in a safe and secure way, but also open up the possibilities because, as a woman, I love to shop, and I know that, that whole experience has to be simple, secure, much more tailored to what I'm looking for as opposed to pedestrian and utilitarian. That's not the only reason why people shop. You shop for commodities in one way, but you shop for, nice things in terms of a total experience. And what we think is happening is for the consumer, being able to really create that more customized experience that's relevant to them, cut out the clutter, cut out the spam, but make it customized is important. And for the retailer, what's important is that, as I've met with many of these large retailers, whether it's Intermarché or whether Galeries Lafayette or it's Waitrose or it's Lidl, Aldi, they're all competing to create stickiness, right? Come back to my store. Now, how do you make that happen? Well, it's about the whole experience, the wonderful decor, the way the fruit is arranged, the way they're greeted, but it's also the last point of interaction, not just where they started their journey, but the end. And can you make that a nice experience, memorable? And what we're trying to do is bring the full power of technology to that and the full power of an ecosystem to that. So the power of technology allows you to, serve up media. The power of technology allows you to create app warehouses, app marketplaces, and, let the imagination of the retailer come to life.
Yeah, so speaking of the influence of technology, as we all know, smartphones have had a big influence on payments recently. How has that been affecting the way Verifone, approaches its strategy?
Well, I think a lot of people have said this, but I will say it as well. We really think of payments as an and business. So what that means is we don't care if you're using, whether it's an Apple Pay, a mobile pay, Alipay, et cetera, or your card. All of those need to be enabled and implemented in the store. And so our strategy is to be open and engage that and make it easy for people to connect to us, to be part of that ecosystem. And I think what's important is that we've really focused on innovation in that area. So we have a big business in Scandinavia, and as you know, the Scandinavians are extremely technology savvy, digital economy, and some of the innovations we created there with our partner with Mobile Pay, with SWIP, make it possible for merchants to be able to accept a payment from their mobile phone, tap and pay, just like they do with a contactless card. And it's been so overwhelmingly positive that merchants are shifting their business to work with us. So it's that kind of thing where you're taking something everybody wants to use and you're embracing it and making it wildly ubiquitous.
And are you seeing that consumers are paying or shopping differently because of smartphone? Is it changing their behavior?
A lot of people walk out of their apartment without their wallet, right? But I think we all are desperate when we don't know where our phone is. And so I think that's part of a trend, and we're extremely well positioned for that. We just announced just recently this collaboration with Mobile Pay, and as I was mentioning, it was so successful that 2 of the top 4 retailers decided they had to shift all their business to us because it was so important to have that functionality, and nobody else has cracked the code on how to do it. So it can be really important. It's also, when you're an innovator and you've introduced that technology, it shows that you're committed to the journey that consumers want to take, and you're with these innovations, helping those retailers not invest themselves, right? They really want to sell shoes. They want to sell merchandise. They're not really interested in figuring out how to build all that technology. Some are, but more and more, the technology debt is so huge, they really want a partner.
And speaking of the smartphone influence, Verifone recently released some new point-of-sale systems, one in particular, the Carbon line. Can you tell us more about that line?
I love Carbon. Okay, I get really excited about Carbon because, first of all, it's beautiful. I feel like I'm introducing the Tesla, right? It's so cool. It's smart. It's been designed in such a clever way to engage both the consumer as well as be a real command center for the merchant. And so it has 2 screens. It makes it very easy for people. So physically, it's really gorgeous. But the guts of it, like the Tesla, are clever because it has the ability to do everything that you think of in terms of the traditional terminal. Tap and pay, wireless swipe chip. It has beacon technology, so you can enable that, and it has the ability to read the QR codes. So all the the functional stuff. But what's really important is it also has being built in a very clever way to make the engagement very easy and intuitive. So we've made it possible. So in the payment process, you can serve up content at the appropriate time. Instead of at the beginning and the end, you can actually rate an experience. You can, in the middle of a transaction flow, payment flow, decide to pay with points, installment payments. A wide range of things are very easily done and architected in a solution. But then it has a whole nother part, which is it connects to a wide range of applications, whether it's inventory management, general accounting packages, wide range of things, so people can really use it to operate their store. And so it's cloud-based, so you can actually download those things. It's open, so a whole ecosystem of partners can be part of that, and it's flexible. So we love the fact that it actually lifts off, so you can actually sit down with customers and show them what the all the cushions and the sofa and that color scheme would look like in your house. So there's so many cool aspects that have been integrated into it. So it really brings to life, this integrated experience.
It sounds so interesting because it, has both the consumer side where it offers them lots of different features when they're paying, but then it seems to have almost like a built-in customer relation management system on the end for the other end for retailers.
Right. Well, it's also good because it encompasses all payments, even cash. So if there's some countries, some places in the world, cash is still really important. So it's cash, card, debit, credit, wallet, mobile, anything that people think of. And I think the beacon technology integration is very clever because then, as people can walk into a store, be greeted, imagine walking in, my smartphone wakes up, tells me that, okay, the blouse I was looking for in the color that I was thinking and my size is now on sale on floor 2. I go up there, I find it, I go to check out, and then because I'm a loyal customer, the point of sale system says, oh, Jim, you got bonus points, right? It's that kind of moment of delight at the last inch, I think is really compelling and would say, okay, I'm going to come back to that store. They know who I am. There's not just somebody, randomly flogging perfume and, spraying me to get me to buy perfume, but I have a really customized experience.
Right. It really shows, it like helps build that relationship between the retailer and the consumer, like we know you, we know what you're looking for, we know what you want. So I also want to talk about the new Engage line. Who is that product for and what features does it offer?
Well, it is, we currently have 28 million of these devices around the world. So it's really designed for just about every segment, if you think about it, because we've designed it in such a way that it's very portable. We have a whole new line, which is really quite cute. It's the smallest device in the world for full functioning device with even a paper roll. What's interesting is that it has lots of applications. So whether you're at a restaurant, you can put it in your apron or put it into your pocket, walk out, serve clients if you're in the quick service restaurant or even in a cafe outside. Has all the communication capability of that. And so on that segment, we have an offering. Very small, extremely portable. So it's for the full range. We have the portable, we have the mobile, we have the countertop, we have the types that you see in Apple stores that are very simple, connect to your phone. But the Engage line is special because it actually has a lot of processing power, and it has this connection to what we call the commerce platform.
And you referenced this a little bit earlier, but over the years, Verifone has established a number of partnerships with companies like MasterCard, Intel, Alipay. What are some of the major ones you would like to highlight, and what opportunities do they open up for your company?
Carbon was built in partnership with Google and Intel, so you're talking about two world-class players that are very excited about what it offers in terms of the on every dimension in terms of being a whole new form of technological advancement into integrated point-of-sale systems. But one of the partnerships we just announced was with WorldPay, and WorldPay is known as an innovator. They're known, in fact, Dave Hobday shares a background like mine in consumer packaged goods. We were both at Procter & Gamble together. So he's really thinking about the customer segments that they're actually going to serve, what they need, the value-added services. And we're really excited because they actually selected our one of our products, the VX690, because they see it as a platform that is perfectly suited, designed to make that engagement visually arresting, attractive, with the processing power, but also with the 3-in-1 capability, what we call TRICOM. Very boring, but it's GPRS, 3G, Wi-Fi. So you never drop a connection. I mean, how irritating is that? To be carrying something around, whether it's your phone or the the device, and all of a sudden lose the signal. that eliminates that whole situation. So we're excited because they are extremely well respected. They're growing very rapidly. It's a very important partnership because it will take the place of three products that are currently in their system, and it reduces their total cost of ownership and makes it easier for them to create value-added services. So it's a real win-win.
And I also want to ask about the Alipay partnership.
Yeah.
I feel like, we started by talking about smartphone trends and how that's influencing, but I see this as evidence of another trend that we're seeing. Can you talk a little bit about that partnership?
Yeah, so the partnership was created for those, some people don't know how big Alipay is, but it's 450 million users. 100 million Chinese tourists come and shop around the world. Many of them come to beautiful countries like France and all over Europe. And what they want to do is still have the same experience with the marketing as well as the payment. That's back to our previous story, that payment is not just the payment, it's the whole experience. So Alipay has worked with Verifone to make that whole experience much broader. So we have a marketing and payment partnership with them, which will enable us to accept Alipay in stores that we work on together around the world. And we'll be launching that in France as well as in the UK very shortly.
And in general, because you are such a large player, do you find that regional differences affect your strategy and your partnerships?
Yes. I mean, it's really important to be very knowledgeable about the local requirements, and I think the partnerships that we have, often they have great depth of experience in the local market, and sometimes we can bring global scale and they bring local knowledge. Other times it's two global players, but we're very, very keen on creating the type of collaboration that makes it easy for people to partner with us.
And what I want to also talk about the partners in terms of how you help them compete in this credit ecosystem. What would you say are those selling points?
Well, I think what we bring, and this is what Alipay said, is we bring simplicity, scale, and security on a global basis. And I think that's a value proposition that a lot of people that are around the world can understand. And so that's what we try to bring to those partnerships, is the ability to deliver that scale in a simple and secure way. So that's the premise. The detail is going to be market by market and depending on the value proposition. So you'll see at our stand a whole bunch of partners that were already enabled on our commerce platform. Everything from ratings, so you can rate the experience that you have in real time at the store, charitable payments. We'll see the ability to have, with Acribo, we've worked on a stamp application. There's, of course, dynamic currency conversion. We'll be announcing another partnership tomorrow. Stay tuned. That is quite exciting. So there's a growing ecosystem, and we have an active program to enroll partners around the world.
And in general, when you work with partners, what do you do to try to make the collaborations work for both partners? Given how quickly the space is evolving.
Yeah, I think what we try to do is. We try to look at how we can make the pie bigger. First of all, it's a very, very dynamic space that we're in terms of we don't always know. I mean, no one has a crystal ball as to what's going to work. So we try to be as flexible as possible in terms of working through business models as well as go-to-market strategies. We also try to be extremely flexible as it relates to which role people can play. We're not saying it's our way or no way, and I think that's a very, very important premise and partnership principle. We really do believe that the pie is getting bigger if we're smart about it, as opposed to I win, you lose. And we've been pretty successful in finding those partnerships, even with people like like Intel, Google, Visa, WorldPay. We think it's working pretty well.
And you mentioned charity. Verifone has worked with the UK charity called Pennies,
Yeah.
where you enabled merchants to kind of charge rounding up to the nearest pound, and then those would be donated. Should we expect to see more partnerships like that in the future?
Oh, yes. Well, it's a very culturally specific, right? In some cultures, there's a big charitable push. We actually crossed $1 million in charitable donations with Pennies a couple months ago. So it can make a difference. And what you find is that a lot of merchants, especially small merchants, are very connected to their community, and they want to be seen as being able to give back. This is a very simple way for them to enable these charitable contributions, because there's an organization that exists to direct those charitable contributions to the charity of their choice. And what we just do is make it very easy for people, to safely top up or round up and make those payments.
And how does a partnership like that come about? In this case where you described it as being somewhat cultural,
Mm-hmm.
how do you determine where you might find that kind of opening or
Mm-hmm.
not?
Well, the good news is that a lot of people are coming to us because they start seeing what's possible. And we also make it really easy for developers that have these applications to, work with us. So we have a whole set of tools that make it really simple. But we work with the merchants, large and small, to figure out what would they like to do to enrich the experience for their consumers. So we also work with big processors and banks that are also looking for value-added services. Sometimes they have their own, sometimes they're looking for others. But as you know, in this world, there's a very fat tail, long fat tail. In other words, there's the bike shop, there's the bakeries, there's the nail salons. Everybody needs something different in that long tail. So there's a wealth of opportunity to serve those segments. And the more clever you are in terms of making it easy to serve those segments, the tighter the relationship will be for the ecosystem, and you'll be adding more value because you really know those needs. So what we've done is really tried to create this platform of technology called the commerce platform, that makes the turning on those apps easy, so that you can experiment and you can see how things will proliferate and grow.
I wanted to circle back also about the beacon technology, because I was just thinking about this scenario of knowing kind of what the consumer is comfortable with. So in the case where you can go to a store and it will say, oh, we have the sweater you were looking for, where exactly is the app getting that data? And then how do you know when it's appropriate to use it in a way that won't make the customer feel like their privacy's been invaded?
Creepy, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's creepy as opposed to customized. Well, so first of all, it's opt-in. So first of all, you as a consumer or a shopper decide whether or not you want to participate. So that's point number one. And then you are in control. When you opt in to any loyalty program, that's the easiest thing to compare to or to think about. You're already giving some people permission that there's information I want to know. And as in, I know you were in the publishing business. When you're in the publishing business or in any type of business, there's usually a small questionnaire about what are your interests, right? So and if you want to share data about, I have a 20-year-old son, I like to ski, I'm interested in fitness, I love good food, then the content is curated to you. So equally on a shopping experience, you can say, these are the types of designers, apparel, things I'm doing and want to buy, and so you can opt in. There are cultures where there's a lot of data mining, and they serve up proactively. I mean, Amazon, if you think about it, goes on based on your behavior before and based on people like you, here are the books that you should read. This is very similar. Based on the fact that you bought these things in the past from these same designers, well, you might be interested in that. So they can look at pattern recognition, and what is good is the tools are there. So our role is to help leverage the tools. We don't own the data. We're just the delivery enablement vehicle. We're the technology partner, right? So because we have the beacons, we can, if people are interested in beacon technology and want to experiment, and a lot of people are, then we've made it simple for them to do that. They don't have to think about enabling the point of sale.
I also wanted to get a little bit more detail on the trends that we're seeing in the Nordic countries where so much of the society has gone cashless. When you look at what's happening there, what would you say that says about what our future might be in terms of payments?
Oh gosh, well the future is here, I think. My Nordic team is always reminding me of that, but they're also deservedly paving the way. So I was reminded that in Norway, they don't even have a place for cash in their wallets, right? So let's just think about that for a second. So they are at the digital experience already, and because we have the benefit of a very strong Scandinavian team, a very strong Scandinavian Nordic Baltic business, and we have 65% market share, we are in a position, in terms of endpoints, we're in a position to really understand kind of the shifts in the market, and they come to us first, right? So all the innovative companies come to us first, the merchants come to us first, and we get a chance to experiment and then scale. So I think that it's a great environment for you to see what the digital future looks like, because as I was saying, in Denmark, we have 33% of the population is already using one of these mobile apps that we've enabled, right? 33%. 2 million out of 6 million people. It's like, really? So if you think about that, that's pretty stunning. And once you get that kind of intensity of usage, the creativity comes, right? The use cases start proliferating. And you don't have to, sit in a laboratory and think about it, because people are using it, and they are saying, oh, gee, we could use it for this. And they are always coming up with innovative ideas.
Yeah, I had a personal experience where I was on vacation in Sweden last year, and of course, I'm just going to fully admit it, the U.S. is not where Sweden is, and I could not get on a bus because I didn't have the proper app, or there, and I didn't have Wi-Fi, and anyway, so I definitely saw a glimpse of the future, and I was not a part of it. So this has been a very fascinating discussion. Is there anything you wanted to add before we close?
Well, I would just say that, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think that we are very lucky to be in an extremely dynamic, exciting space. I think that this time in payments is particularly exciting because we have regulatory pressure in Europe around, EBA, PSD2, that's forcing a lot of change, or pushing a lot of change. We have the technology disruptors as well as enablers and innovators all looking at what's possible in this space. And we also have consumers that have higher and higher expectations. So they're pushing the retailers to think differently about their business. So I see it as a perfect storm in a positive way. And I'm really excited about the role that Verifone can play, and the partnerships that we're looking forward to create through that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.